Professor K. Purushotham Reddy, sir. He is an eminent environmentalist, academician, development activist, and political scientist of India, born into a farmer's family on 14th February 1945. Being associated in diverse academic positions as a professor in Osmania University, as head of the department and chairman board of studies in political science department, director for Center for Environmental Studies, he was always a resource person for many universities and their academic staff colleges. AP Judicial Academy, MIT School of Government Pune, ESCI, and Center for Cultural Resources Training, just to name a few. He swung into action after Bhopal gas disaster in 1984 and emerged as India's renowned environmentalist with more than 25 success stories in movements such as struggle against nuclear reactor, struggle against mechanized slaughterhouses, struggles against industrial pollution, lake conservation, and struggle for water. Interestingly, popularized the dictum, think globally, act locally. Professor Reddy has co-authored the book Environmental Education in 2002, co-edited The State of Environment in Andhra Pradesh, a Citizen's Report in 1990, remarkably known to have published more than 80 papers in national and international journals, and also remained active as a regular columnist and speaker in media, contributing articles and solutions on various environmental and development issues. He was invited as a state guest by the Turkish government. He is a recipient of Justice Kuldeep Singh National Award for championing for environmental cause. With this brief introduction of him, I now invite Professor Purushotham Reddy to address us. Welcome, sir.
Respected Honorable Chief Justice of Sikkim, former Chief Justice Shri Permod Kohli. He was also chairman of the CAT, Central Administrative Tribunal, Government of India. We have respected Professor Y.S.R. Murthy, Vice-Chancellor, and Shri Pankaj Vohra, one of the leading journalists of India, presently managing editor, Sunday Guardian. Shilpa Krishna spoke a little extra about me because she stays in Hyderabad and works in Central University. But the main thing is today we are all gathered here to focus on JaipalReddy. We have distinguished panel members. My respects to JaipalReddy is something, it extends to more than 55 years. He was my senior in the college, that is Osmania University. We have a wonderful college known as the College of Arts, one of the finest buildings of the country. And those days, that college was something like a crucible where we used to have so much of interaction. Almost every other day, we would have very eminent people like Raj Mohan Gandhi, Dr. Raman Hon'ble, India's who is who, including Jayaprakash Narayan, Dr. K. M. Munshi. So many distinguished speakers visited our campus, particularly in Arts College. And that was the time when our minds were really free and we were trying to reach out to the knowledge. So JaipalReddy was a product of that time. He was a very close follower of Jawaharlal Nehru and also at the same time Sri Rajagopalachari intellectually. And it is very difficult to imagine JaipalReddy not carrying a copy of the Swarajya, those days, publication of Rajaji. And in the evenings, he would carry the newspaper Statesman. And wherever he was, he would always continuously try to educate the people, the students, particularly of this time. Today, we are all gathered here under a very extreme difficult conditions for democracy because worldwide, we see the glamour of democracy declining, not because it is a wonderful value, it will never lose its value, but the people have gone down. Today, it's unfortunate that most of the governments are controlled by corporates, and these corporates are dictating their agenda to the governments, and we witness a rising gap in terms of income between the rich and the poor. And this increasing gap in terms of incomes is not going to help democracy. In fact, we will be very soon, because I was also watching Yuval Noah Harari, number one thinker right now in the contemporary world. And his observation is that right now there are three issues and which no country alone can address. For example, the nuclear threat, that is the number one. Second is we have the problem of technological disruption. It's going to be the biggest challenge in the days to come, and no single country is right now in a position to address it on its own. And the third one is climate change. All of you are aware. So how can any individual country, maybe Japan or America, Russia, China, India, or any other country in the world, however capable they are, on their own, they would not be able to address these issues. Therefore, JaipalReddy in his 10 ideologies book, that is the book which has inspired me. And I have a copy personally signed by him. And there he talks about globalization of governance. See, today, okay, America is a democracy, but that again is a question mark. Political scientists have been classifying it as a flawed democracy. Even in India, we have doubts about democracy because the permissible expenditure which has been allowed by the Election Commission for individual candidates is so high that it does not ensure a level playing ground. So how do we go from here to, how do we go further, how to strengthen democracy? I have a feeling that JaipalReddy, his book, it should be made part of the curriculum. And once again, we have to revive the spirit of discussion in every university, college. And this discussion has to percolate down. As a political scientist, I just wish to make 2-3 points about the threats to democracy. For example, in India, all of us, we always praise that India is the one, the one country which has given the concept of direct democracy to the world. And we give the example of Y.S.R. It is true, recently there were a lot of, most of these temple edicts of Tamil Nadu, they very clearly indicated that about 2,500 years ago, India had a very vibrant Panchayat Raj governance at the grassroots, including the concept of direct democracy. Unfortunately, things went wrong. We were dominated by the British, and we lost those democratic culture. And over a period of time, we developed this inferiority complex, and that still persists. In India, right now, the VIP culture, which all of us are a witness on the roads of India, we are suddenly stopped and some so-called VIP is allowed to pass. I mean, that is definitely violative of the Article 14 to 18, right to equality of the Constitution. That is, even on the roads, we are not equal. And the police operate in such a way that we are shown that we are, after all, second-class citizens in this country. In addition to this, there is when we look at the powers in the Constitution, in the state list, entry 5, in the state list, entry 5, we have the power of, entry 5 is local government. Now, why is the power to control the local governments in the state list? Why can't we trust the local governments? So I have been proposing a constitutional amendment because 73rd Amendment was again was drafted by my teacher, Professor Shri, who was then in NIRD, National Institute of Rural Development. I think the time has come to rectify. He has done it rightly, but the government, in order to push through the Rajya Sabha, because then the PV Narasimha Rao government did not have the majority, and therefore he wanted to ensure the cooperation of the states, and maybe there was a subtle compromise, but that has to be rectified because the panchayats, the local governments in this country, whether it is rural or urban, they are being denied of their freedom to organize their activities by their respective state government. One last word about democracy in this country. I very sincerely, honestly think that we the people in this country, we have become increasingly indifferent. We are not vigilant. Actually, democracy presupposes a very vibrant citizenry. We the people, should be eternally vigilant and vibrant. Otherwise, our democracy will then be described as a flawed democracy. So what do? We particularly in a large number of states right now, and also at the national level, we have political parties which are in the grip of a dynasty. A grip of a dynasty. I don't want to name it, but it is evident in Maharashtra, in Telangana, in Andhra, in Tamil Nadu, and Orissa. You can see democracy political parties in the grip of a dynasty, and that dynasty nominates. So the choice of the people is restricted to the nominated candidates. In fact, that has to be rectified because the candidates to be nominated for elections should emerge from the people. America had that facility, but America has several other minus points. So, friends, there can never be an ideal democracy. I'm happy we are all gathered here. I just want to extend this argument or our ability to take this subject to the different universities. I think we need to revive the spirit of not just the freedom struggle, but the second freedom struggle, 1977, when India voted against dictatorship, when Janata Party came to power, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi, because she imposed emergency, her government was rejected, she was thrown into garbage. Now that kind of a vibrant democracy, where people will be vigilant, they'll be very sure about the air they breathe, the water they drink, the products they purchase. That ennobling factor, once again, all of us together, we need to revive. And we call this particular program as Celebrating Democracy because recently the American president also had convened a global conference for the protection of democracy or improvement of democracy. Of course, it was not a direct conference like this webinar. I'm sure in the days to come after the COVID, we should all once again come together and take it to the people, because if there is any further delay, this country will once again slip into the grips of a few dynasties, and I don't think the coming generation will forgive us. So I thank JaipalReddy, this foundation. His children are very dear to me, Arvind and Anand. And Madam Jaipal is like my elder sister. And we have all been functioning as a family, particularly Lakshma Reddy, the brother-in-law of Jaipal Reddy, and his wife, they have been doing tremendous work. About 40 lakh saplings have been planted, and we are working in 100 villages trying to strengthen democracy there. So thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience with Jaipal, sir, raising the issues, challenges, and threats to democracy. Hope these discussions percolate, trickle down to all sections of society, and we the people become more vigilant.